Welcome to the Rich Like Jesus channel. I'm Ulrich, I've been a Christian for 13 years and I'm a businessman who, with God's help, turned 13,000 of my own money into more than 10 million revenue per annum. And today we're going to look at how to be successful in life as defined by the Bible. We're going to look at what birthing your dreams really looks like and what God says about being fruitful. This will give you the keys to being successful in almost all areas of life. So if this sounds interesting to you, then stay tuned. You are watching the Rich Like Jesus channel, where you're going to learn things about God, His kingdom, and yourself that you have never heard before. And it will completely change your life if absorbed and implemented. I know that it's completely changed mine. Before we even start delving into success, I want you to understand something, and that is that studying Hebrew and what God was saying in the Bible in Hebrew is always going to be very powerful, a very powerful exercise for you. You will start to understand what God is telling and showing and teaching you in the Bible much, much better. Why is that? Remember that the Bible is a Jewish book. It's a Hebrew book written in Hebrew by Hebrew-speaking people. And that is the purest way that it was meant to be read in Hebrew. Because in Hebrew we find a much deeper layer of meaning associated with each word than we can find in other languages such as English. And that is because each word means something, like English, but the letters that make up that word also mean something. And that combination give us a much deeper insight into the words in Hebrew and what the Hebrew passages mean than we could get from a language such as English. This is the first thing that I want to speak about in this teaching. Okay, now that we've covered that, let's look at the Hebrew word for success. The Hebrew word for success is fruitful. You see, in your DNA, God encrypted fruitfulness into you. God designed you to be fruitful. In the same way trees are meant to bear fruit, and when they don't, it is a strange sight. You were meant to be fruitful. And if you are not, it is a dysfunction. And you are not performing in accordance with your DNA or in accordance with your makeup, how you were created to be. In Genesis 1:28, God says, "Be fruitful and multiply." It's also interesting that before we multiply, we need to be fruitful. Before we increase in family, children, and other areas of our life, we must be fruitful and be able to take care of those responsibilities. This is something that we also see in Proverbs 24:27. Prepare your work outside. Get everything ready for yourself in the field. And after that, build your house. Let's look at this word that appears in Genesis. Fruitful. It is, of course, the first time in the history of the world and the first time in the Bible that this word is mentioned. So I think it's very important to look at this. The Hebrew word for fruitful is parah. It is a word used to describe being productive, increasing in number, agricultural increase, bearing spiritual fruit, and so forth. But now, like I mentioned earlier, let's break this word down to get a deeper meaning from it by looking at the individual letters that make up the word that describes God's view of success. And by doing that, we will get God's blueprint for being successful and productive. Now, parah consists of 3 letters. We'll look at each letter and what it means to get the blueprint, the pathway, the map towards becoming fruitful. The first letter in this word is pei. This letter represents a mouth. It's amazing. So the first thing to do when you want to be fruitful, when you want to fulfill your destiny, is to start speaking life, to start speaking positivity, blessing, to bless yourself and the task you are about to undertake. Speak life, not death. We also know from Jesus' teachings that the words that come out of your mouth come from what you have cultivated in your heart. So it's very important to cultivate a heart or thoughts and a belief system of success and positivity, so that what you speak will be those things: positivity, life, and so forth. The second letter that makes up para is resh. This letter represents the head, and it represents the idea of leadership. It conveys two meanings. One, where there is strong mentorship, strong leadership, success and fruitfulness is easier. Mentorship and leadership is God's design for success. This is seen easily in the structure of a family and in the New Testament letters, in the way that kings and prophets always had and still have mentors, wise men, counselors that they call upon. This is God's design. But the second thing that Resh talks about is about you leading and taking action. You have now spoken about being fruitful. Now it is time to do being fruitful. And this is where many and most people fail. Proverbs and the book of James both tell us that faith without action is completely useless. Dead is what it uses actually. Now the third letter of this word fruitful, or para in Hebrew, is hey. And this hey represents a window. Quite interesting. This can be interpreted in many ways, but I believe the main meaning here as it relates to bearing fruit is that the window represents a revelation. That window represents seeing from a new perspective, a new revelation which you will undoubtedly require in order to be successful in the venture that you are undertaking. You will need a revelation, a come up here moment where the light bulb goes off and you finally see how to move forward and how the path to success looks, and what the path to success looks like. The path to success becomes more clear. It's important that this comes after speaking and after taking action, because in the doing of trying to achieve your dreams, only then do the challenges come. And then in the challenges and in the doing of overcoming the challenges, then the revelation comes. It's also much easier to overcome if you have a mentor that can give you that revelation and you don't have to find it yourself. Now, one more thing about hay. It is also said that this speaks to looking deeper into the window of one's soul and into your true potential and destiny, discovering it and unlocking it, which I believe is also profound and something that will undoubtedly take place as you pursue your passions and the desires that God placed on your heart, that you will get a deeper revelation about yourself. So let's quickly recap what this word has instructed us on when it comes to success. First of all, it starts with speaking and discussing what your success will actually look like. And throughout your journey of achieving it, continuously speaking life and blessing and staying in faith. The second part is to then step into leadership and actually start doing what is required to achieve the things that you have now spoken out. It's much easier to do that if you have a mentor and a leader. However, it's not always required, but you have to take action. This is where most people fail. And then as soon as you start taking action, challenges start coming. And that's when you then require revelation, overcome the challenges, get more revelation for the next challenges, and keep overcoming the challenges until you reach goal or destination number 1, and you start working on goal and destination number 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Now, there are deeper meanings and revelations to this word fruitful, but this is the first layer. And this is the layer, then the blueprint that you can use to basically be successful in anything in life at a high level. But now let's delve into the second layer of this word, which is beautiful and very profound. If we look at this word again, para, the first word is mouth, but it can also mean the source or beginning. The second word is head, and the third word is window. This together is a picture of a woman in labor. The life source or baby is in the woman's body. It has been implanted there by God. And then the head of the new life or baby comes forth through the woman as the window into the world. And this image of labor is very powerful. Let's look at what Jesus said about labor in John 16:21. When a woman is giving birth, she has sorrow because her hour has come. But when she has delivered the baby, she no longer remembers the anguish for the joy that a human being has been born into the world. This is profound to us as it relates to going after your dreams and goals. It shows us that achieving your dreams is not easy, and it requires severe effort and sometimes pain and discomfort. But it also shows us that achieving your dreams and the goals and desires that God has put into your heart is one of the most fulfilling and satisfying emotional, physical, spiritual experiences that you will ever experience, because He is comparing being fruitful to giving birth, which is a miracle experience and an amazing experience, as mothers would be able to tell you. So achieving your dreams requires strain and effort and the other things we've spoken about. But during those times, you can even use this picture of the fact that when you achieve your dreams, it will be more than worth it to have gone through what you're going through now. I also shared this with you to encourage you to unpack this word fruitful, unpack it even further, because you can see that there's deeper and deeper layers of meaning. Now, the last insight I want to give you about being fruitful is meant as a massive encouragement. And please note, this is not me encouraging you. This is an encouragement from God as found in the Bible. When I started my business, the business that finally ended up succeeding, it was very slow in the beginning. We had next to no sales. I clearly remember the days that I would be so excited for making even one sale, for even getting one inquiry. Those were the days of small beginnings, where someone might look at what was happening and say that I was wasting my time, right? And now, very recently, I started entering a new market with a new business. And as the sales slowly drip feed into our system, I have that same feeling of being very excited for just a single sale. However, this time I know that it's just the beginning, and we will build on top of this. And this is God's encouragement to you, that when it comes to being fruitful, we must never despise the day of small beginnings, but rather to celebrate it, because this is how God does things. It always starts small, with a seed in a woman's womb that is so small that the human mind cannot comprehend it. But later it grows into a life that can change the course of history. Let me give you the exact verse that speaks to this. Zechariah 4 verse 10. Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. Do you see how beautiful this is? God is rejoicing that the work is beginning, that you are stepping into your destiny that He designed for you long before you were ever born. This verse or promise was given to Israel in a time where they were busy rebuilding the temple, and the Israelites that were old enough to remember the old temple started weeping, as the new temple was nothing in comparison to the old or previous temple. And you might feel the same way. You might compare your few engagements, your 1 or 2 sales, with some big influencer or massive business or massive company, and start to feel discouraged that you are so far from where you might want to be. God's word to you is to not feel discouraged. But God's word to you is also to remember what it takes to move from the day of small beginnings to the day of massive success. He wants you to speak positively, which comes from a positive mindset. He wants you to take action, and while taking action, make sure you are acquiring the skills or revelation you need to be successful. You need revelation in order to birth your dreams. Remember the parable in Matthew 13:31 that Jesus spoke about a mustard seed that is the smallest seed, but it grows into the biggest of trees, and all the birds come and make their nest in the tree. May this be your business. Water that seed, grow the tree while it is still young, and one day you will be able to help the millions and billions of people in the world that need economies to be stimulated, who need jobs to be created, who needs God's resources and God's resource stewards to step into their true calling and destiny. So in conclusion, you were called to be fruitful. Failing to do this is failing your destiny and calling. God gives us powerful insights into being fruitful. It's not easy, but once your dreams become reality, the pain of birthing your dream pales in comparison to the joy of living in your destiny, and never despise the day of small beginnings. Bless you, and I hope this helps you to bear incredible fruit for God.